o'clock. Okay.
Live streamed.
Nagasan, we are live stream right now.
Can I start?
No, sir, we have another 3 minutes. 3 minutes is there.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Nagasan, is that okay? You can start.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ranganathan again here with you. Today it is the 12th episode, which means we're almost completing 25% of our target of 50 themes in 50 weeks. This week will be a much lighter theme, which all of you may enjoy, because many of you can also tell your children, grandchildren, everybody the season stories. Okay, so today is called the Folk Tales of Japan. Folk Tales of Japan series. This is the 12th in the series. This is what in Japanese we call it as Mukashi Banashi. Long, long ago, so long ago, nobody knows how long ago. It is all fantasy-filled folk tales from Japan today. Now, we have 7 stories, 7 tales, which is represented in 21 stamps. The Japanese Post has done a very good job, because the stories are quite big and it's not easy to put them within 3 stamps per story. But they've done a wonderful job. And these stamps as a series was released between 1973 and 1975. Let me go back. The first tale we are going to have today is Anasaka Giri. That is, the story is about a flower blossoming old man. Maybe I'm fit enough to talk about being an old man. Maybe. Okay, let's look at it. They have released 3 stamps. Okay, these 3 stamps are looking like this. Old man going out with his dog Shiro. Shiro in Japanese means white, a white colored dog. And then old couple pounding rice into gold. And then man sitting on the tree and admiring the landlord, okay, or the lord of this place, who admires him and then gives him all awards. Now, this is been by three stamps. Their stamps are issued on 1973 on the 20th of November. The size of the stamps is 39 by 28 millimeters, multicolored, no watermarks, and their commemorative stamps commemorate the folk tales. And now let's see what is this story is going about. The folk tale of Anasaka Giri, the old man who made trees bloom. Anasaka Giri is a very famous, much beloved folk tale of Japan. Presents the story of two old couple, one good and evil, like any of our stories also, where we always have one good, one bad, and then what happened? The good old couple having a dog Shiro, whom they love as a child because they never had any children. Shiro is no ordinary dog. This is seemed to be a dog which possesses the ability to bestow supernatural gifts on the owners who definitely and really cherish him. When the selfish couple next door become jealous, they try to force Shiro to perform the same feat of magical blessing for them. But it does not go according to plan. Let's see what has happened to the two couple and what Shiro has done to them. Let's go to the story to see what did go according to the plan for the bad Oji-san. Oji-san is old man, though through the three sets of stamp. The name Anasaka Giri translates likely to flower blossoming old man. This refers to the final act of the story in which Shiro grants his beloved owner the power to make dead trees to come to bloom, and even in the depths of winter. Okay, let's go to the old man and his village where he lived with Shiro. Once upon a time, there lived an old man and an old woman. They were honest and kind couple. They never had any children. Instead, they cherished their dog, Shiro, as though it was their own child. Shiro in turn cherished the old man and the old woman. Next door to the kind old couple lived a greedy old man and a woman. And they were envious because their neighbors had such a wonderful dog, and so they treated them with contempt. One day, when the honest old man went out to cultivate his field, as usual, Shiro followed him. The dog explored here and there, sniffing on the ground. After a few minutes, he trotted over to the old man and took his sleeves by his mouth. Then he pulled him. The old man was startled. All of a sudden, the dog comes and catches him and says, "Come with me." And to the little tree at the edge of the field and pushed the soil beneath the tree with his front paws. "Dig here, one, dig here, one." Because the Japanese say dogs, when they bark, the barking sound of a dog is said as one. Lol. So something we say. So similarly, Japanese say one. Dig here, one. Dig here, one. Shiro barked. "What is it?" said the old man. "What's going on?" He was a little confused, but nevertheless, he dug down to the spot where Shiro stood. As he dug, "Kachiri!" The old man hit something hard on his plow. He peered down into the hole and spotted something shiny at the bottom. He kept digging, and soon a whole pile of koban came out. Koban is what I've shown you, the number of kobans of different values in the Edo period. They are gold coins. That's why Marco Polo once called Japan as a country of gold. Okay, in his books that he has written, Japan is mentioned as a country of gold. Japan had such gold coins called koban. And then when the old man dug the soil, koban started bursting out, as you can see in the figure down below. Now, Shiro is digging the soil. Old man is going, he's taking him to the tree, and then he's removing the topsoil and digging in to get the kobans out. The old man was overcome with joy. He excitedly called the old woman, "Come on, come here." And then they together carried the heavy load of koban home. Thus, the honest old couple suddenly became wealthy. The greedy old couple heard what had happened, and they were jealous. They visited the honest old couple and demanded to borrow Shiro so that they could also check their field. But the honest old couple were so kind-hearted, they let Shiro to go with them. But Shiro was not willing to go with them, however, and he dug his heels. The greedy old man tied a rope because the owner said, "Take Shiro," tied a rope around Shiro's neck and pulled him harshly to his field. "There must be a treasure buried under my field somewhere also. Where is it? Where is it?" The greedy old man yanked the Shiro's neck even more harshly. In his misery, Shiro was scratching the surface of the soil in a particular spot. The greedy old man misunderstood. "Oh, it is here. Good, good." The greedy old man started digging. However, he could only find small stones and broken pieces of kawara. Kawara is tile, okay? Or you can even say as a river soil, but in this case, kawara is tile. He kept digging, and a foul-looking sludge came out, along with a terrible smell from that hole he was digging. "Oh, it stinks!" The greedy old man scrambled and covered his nose. In his rage, he swung his plow hoe and struck Shiro's head. "Kya!" The poor Shiro cried only once, and he died. The honest old couple were grief-stricken beyond imagination. But there was nothing else that they can do. In tears, they took Shiro's body home, dug a hole in the corner of their yard, and buried him with a tender care. Instead of a gravestone, they planted a small pine tree in Shiro's grave. The pine tree grew very rapidly, became a towering tree. They were all very happy to see a tree growing up, remembering Shiro. From the trunk of the tree, they made usu. Usu is something like a vessel in which they can put the rice and pound the rice. Okay, so they made a usu to pound rice at home. The strange thing that was that the more they pounded the rice, more golden kobans appeared in the usu. After a while, their kitchen was overflowing with koban. The greedy old couple heard about this incident and became jealous once again. In their audacity, they once again came to borrow the usu. Last time they borrowed the Shiro, killed him. Now they also again came and asked for the usu. Once again, the innocent couple could not refuse and lent the usu. As soon as they got home, the greedy old man put some rice in the usu and started pounding the rice. Sludge came pouring out and accompanied by a terrible stench. In a few moments, the stench and the sludge overflew from the usu and filled the greedy couple's entire kitchen. The greedy old man flew into a rage again, like how he kicked the dog, broke the usu into pieces, and used it as a firewood. When the honest old man came to get his usu back, he was struck with sorrow to find usu reduced to ashes. However, he could do nothing about it. He collected the ash in a basket and carried it home with heavy steps. "Old woman, Shiro's pine tree has been turned into ash," he told his wife with grief, sadly. He carried the ashes to the corner of the backyard where Shiro's grave was. Then, suddenly out of nowhere, a warm wind flew into the basket, lifted the ash into the air, and scattered it all over the backyard. Strangely enough, the dead plum tree, the cherry tree, suddenly burst into bloom, and wherever the ash landed on their branches. Despite the winter season everywhere else, the kind old couple's garden became lively scene of spring. The old man carried the basket out into the road and scattered the ashes as he walked, so that everybody can get the benefit of these ashes and everybody's farms can bloom. As he chanted and scattered the ash, he chanted and said, and he wanted everything to bloom. And he was seen by the lord of the great house. Those days the lords were there covering the territory, who was returning from hunting with his vassals. The lord called out to the old man, "Hey, aren't you novel? All right, show me how we can put flowers on the dead tree, cherry tree." Because he sees That's over. Not the spring, winter, and the cherry tree is full of cherry blossom. How did he do that? The Lord indicated the nearby tree. The old man went up to the cherry tree, and the Lord wanted him to make that cherry tree also to blossom. He went up and he chanted once again, "Please give happiness to our Lord by blossoming." And the old man chanted once more and tossed the ash into the branches. The cherry tree burst into full bloom. The Lord was amazed. This is fascinating and mysterious. He praised the old man, gave him generous rewards. The greedy old man heard about this and once again got jealous. He gathered up some bits of leftover ash into the basket and imitated the honest old man. He went into the neighborhood and chanted and spread the ashes. As the greedy old man was doing this act of chanting and spreading the ash, the same Lord, with his return, seeing this man, asked him to repeat the performance. However, not a single flower bloomed. The next moment, a ferocious wind came and blew the ash in all directions. The ash flew straight into the eyes and nose of the Lord and his vassals. The Lord was extremely angry. He said, "You must be a fake Anasaka Giri. What a villain you are." He had the greedy old man arrested and tied up. The greedy old man shouted and protested, but in the end, he was taken to the jail as a proper punishment for all his crimes. That is the story of Anasaka Giri, the two old men, the story of Shiro, how it helped a couple who really cherished him, took care of him as their own child. Now, this is a small story which has been there for age immemorial. Some of these stories are almost as old as 1,300 years old. They have been coming from generation after generation. They're a very famous thing. Now, we have a second story called Suru Nyobo. Suru Nyobo is the meaning, if I have to say, it's a crane wife. One second. Wait a minute. Let me go back to the share screen. Suru Nyobo, the crane wife. Now, this again has got 3 stamps, because every story has got 3 stamps. This was released on 20th February 1974. Okay, and this again is the same size, 39 by 28 millimeters, and multicolor, and each is 20 yens of face value. Now, Suru Nyobo, okay, this has got 3 stamps: crane and damsel, crane into damsel. The crane becomes a beautiful woman. Crane is weaving, then the crane flies away along with other cranes. Suruno Onegayashi. Suruno Ongayashi is a crane's return of favor. It's a story from Japanese folklore about a crane who returned favor to a man. The variant of the story where a man marries a crane that returns a favor is known as Suru Nyobo, or crane wife. According to Japanese scholar Seki Keigo, the story is one of the best known tales in Japan about supernatural and enchanted spouses. Now, let's see what is this story about. There once lived a young man in Japan. One day, when he was in the garden, a crane plummets to his feet from the air, and the man sees the crane has been shot down by an arrow. He helped the crane to heal and regain flying by treating the wound. The young man let go the crane and warning it of hunters. Then the crane flew around his man's head 3 times, thanked him, and it took off. Now, when the young man got home that night, there was a beautiful woman waiting for him. And she said she was his wife, new wife. You know, he never expected a wife. He just helped a crane. And then when the man told the woman that he cannot support her due to his own wealth status, the woman stated they had plenty of rice and she started cooking dinner. Okay, rice is a very, very fundamental food in Japanese thing. So Gohan is very important. and Japanese rice is very sticky. People like it. I like it. Okay. The rice sack never depleted, and the two started to live together. One day, the woman asked the man for a weaving loom. I'm sorry, this is weaving room. It's a separate room where he can put a loom for her to weave. Once the room was completed, she warned the man to never look inside the room and went into the room for 7 days. She came out with a very beautiful weaved cloth and she told her to go and sell it at the market at the highest price, which he did. So he was very surprised. So, and also he became curious. He said, how could she be doing this? Where is she having the thread? All that we have put a loom and a room, and she had no thread to do any weaving. How did she do that? So he was very curious. So when he looked into the room, ignoring her warnings, he saw a crane pulling its feathers off to weave into a cloth. The crane realized the man was speaking and identified itself as the crane that the man saved, and the crane decided to become the wife of the man to repay him the debt for its life. However, because the man now knew the crane's true form, the crane could no longer stay with him. It threw the cloth just finished, waving it to the man as something to remember the crane, and by decided to leave him. The crane joined the friends and it flew away with them. That is the story of the Suru Nyobo. Now, there you can also see a first day cover, which shows the crane weaving. And also, I received a cover from somebody, a cover with a stamp and posted. It's got a value. So we also exhibit such things when we are talking about and showing these stamps. Now, the third story is Isumboshi. Isumboshi is a 1-inch boy. Okay, this again has got 3 stamps, as you see are there. Very interestingly drawn. Predominantly yellow or brown is the color, and red. Okay, these 3 stamps were released on the 10th June 1974, 39 by 28 millimeters, multicolor, and that has got a perforation comb of 13 and printed by photograph. And again, the face value is 20 yen. All the stamps in this series are all 20 yen stamps. And as I told you in the very beginning, from 1973 to 75, the series was spread. Now, once in a country far away, there was a farmer and his wife, and they had no children. And they had no children, and every day to lift their spirits on walk to and farm the field, they used to sing. They sang, "We would like to have a little boy, any size at all." Their song was, "We would like to have a boy, any size at all. And we like him little, we like him small. We love him tiniest of all." And the miracle happened. They had a child. But this hardly came as a surprise. He really was tiny, as they called him, Isumboshi, the 1-inch boy. Time passed. Isumboshi did not grow larger, at least to the eye. But inside his mind grew with curiosity. His heart grew with passion to see the world. He said, "Father and mother, I want to live. I wish to see the world." Okay. So he wanted to go to Kyoto. Kyoto at that time was the capital. So he said, "I want to go and see what is it's looking like." Okay. Itsuboshi's parents knew that he wishes to do that with their blessing. And of course, along with blessings, they also had some worry. He's a very tiny boy. And how is he going to manage in the world, outside the world? Because in the house, they were able to take care of him. Outside world may not be the same as that. Anyway, they sent him away. Take this, my son, the mother said, and this and this. So Isumboshi carried with him a sewing needle, a rice bowl, and a chopstick. These are the three things the father and mother, they gave it to him, asking him to carry them with him. Isumboshi, Isumboshi laughed when he soon came up with a rushing river. He climbed into the rice bowl and sped off. You use his chopsticks to row in the river. So he was only 1 inch, so rice bowl was his boat. So he went on this. Then after a few days, Isumboshi arrived in Kyoto. Oh, what a busy place. Carefully, Isumboshi made his way. At last he came to a large, beautiful house in the city. The house of Sanjo, Isumboshi exclaimed. Sanjo is a lord of the city, and he was a very kind man and a very brave master too. He heard many wonderful stories about Lord Sanjo. Isumboshi waited on the steps of the great door of the master. So he saw the master coming out. He said, I am Isumboshi. I am Isumboshi. He jumped and shouted. He waved. I have come to serve you, Lord Sanjo. The great man peered into the evening. He looked here and there because he could only hear the voice. He is not able to see him because he's so tiny. He looked to the left, then to the right, everywhere. Then he turned around. Then Isumboshi yelled, come on, see me down here, I'm here. So he bent down and picked up the tiny boy. My son, you're smaller than my thumb. What can you do for me? Isumboshi smiled and said, those who meet just with their eyes, Isumboshi will surprise you. And with that, he drew out a sewing needle, which was his sword. He sliced the fly, buzzing by the great man's ears. Finished. The fly was killed. Isumboshi soon became a trusted servant of Sanjo house. Princess Sanjo especially relied on him. Only he could paint patterns fine enough on their combs. See, the Japanese girls have their comb, and which, like what I've shown in the picture, he could find beautiful pictures on the comb, which she wore on the hair. So it's more than combing. This is worn as an ornament or a comb supplement to the hair. And then only you could find as small as earrings when they rolled under their dresser. So because he's so tiny, he could go down and pick it up. And he will always sit on her shoulder all day long and kept her company. Okay, Princess Isumboshi were walking back after a cherry blossom festival. Okay, you know, Hanami cherry blossom festival is very famous. And they went and came back. And then walking home, the princess said, Isumboshi, tell me a joke. But Isumboshi did not have the time to even open his mouth. A shadow fell across on him. He shivered. Blocking the sky was a Oni. Oni is a demon. Oni is a demon. A terrible man-eating monster grinned at Isumboshi and the princess. Oni, go away, Isumboshi shouted, waving his needle and said, if you don't go away, or else. Then he was waving his needle at the Oni. The giant's laughter sent Isumboshi spinning in the air. Look at you. You're smaller than a mouse. How could you possibly harm me? Isumboshi smiled and said, those who see just their eyes, Isumboshi will surprise, which is a standard phrase, which he told the master of the house also there. Then, faster than a fly, Isumboshi jumped inside the Oni's laughing mouth. He slid down the horrible monster's throat. He landed in his stomach. Then he attacked the giant's stomach with his needle. Please, Oni begged. Please, Isumboshi, come on. Isumboshi made one more jab. You learned your lesson, have you? Yes, monster answered. Isumboshi climbed back and said, run away. He jumped out of the master's mouth and said, you should run away from this place. Monster's footsteps shook the earth as he ran away from that place. Isumboshi laughed as he defeated the Oni. The master is left behind Uchide no Kojusi, his magic hammer. Isumboshi reached out and touched the silver hammer. When what happened? He touched the silver. Let's look at it. Oh, there's Isumboshi with the silver hammer. The magic touch of the silver hammer turned him into a handsome young man who saved the princess and the country from the Oni. Princess and the handsome warrior were soon married. His parents came from the country to live with him and in the Sanjo house. At last, Isumboshi, onward appearance, matched his inner talents. That is the story of Isumboshi. Isumboshi married the princess, very happy. These are the not the first day covers. If you see, there are red blocks on this. This is the postcards. Okay, the postcards with the first day cancellation on them. With the Isumboshi, post office makes special first day cancellation, which is available only on that day in the post office. So these are postcards, not first day covers. They were there, and I hope you liked Isumboshi's story also. We got another 3 more. Next is Kaguya Hime. That is Princess Kaguya from the moon. This is also again a 1,300 years old story. Very beautiful story. This story that has been printed into 3 stamps. On the 29th July 1974, these stamps were released. Again, the same size, 39 by 28 millimeters, multicolor, same perforation, and the emission, what we call as for what? Is it a stamp or what? So this is a commemorative stamp. For what purpose? Commemorative. And then photogravure is the way of printing. Those details about the 3 stamps are given here in the blue rectangle. Now, Kaguya Hime is also called as the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, Taketori Monogatari. Is a monogatari. Monogatari is a fictional prose narrative containing elements of Japanese folklore. Written by an unknown author in the late 9th or early 10th century during the Heian period, it is considered to be the oldest surviving work in Monogatari style. The story details the life of Kaguya Hime, the princess from the moon, who is discovered as a baby inside the stalk of a glowing bamboo plant. After she grows, her beauty attracts 5 suitors seeking her hand in marriage, whom she turns away by challenging them each with an impossible task. She later attracts the affection of the Emperor of Japan. At the tail end, Kaguya Hime reveals her celestial origin and returns to the moon. That is going to be that is a summary of this story. Now let's see the story. A bamboo cutter named Sunikino Miyatsuko discovers a miniature girl inside a glowing bamboo shoot, tender bamboo shoot, believing her to be a divine presence. But she was inside a small girl inside a glowing bamboo shoot. He and his wife decided to raise her of their own and calling her princess. The girl grows rapidly, earning her nickname Takenoko. Takenoko means the little bamboo. Okay, Takenoko, below the bamboo tree, small bamboo trees will be growing. They're all called as tender bamboo, Takenoko, little bamboo, from the village children. Sutemaru, the oldest among the Takenoko's friends, developed a close relationship with her. Miyatsuko comes upon gold and fine cloth in bamboo grove. Okay, he goes to the bamboo grove the same way as he found his daughter. He takes this as proof that she is divine and also royal, and so he decides that she should be grown as a proper princess. He relocates his family to the capital facing the girl to leave her friends behind, and the family move into a mansion filled with servants who will take care of all her needs. But the girl is saddened with the governess who is tasked with taming her into a noble woman because they want to raise her as a princess. The girl really struggles. Okay, she doesn't want to become a noble person. She loves to go back to her countryside, play with her friends, and Sutemaru, she was with whom she had a close relationship, would like to go and see him. When she comes of age, she's granted the formal name Princess Kaguya. Princess Kaguya means shining princess. Miyatsuko holds a celebration where Kaguya overhears partygoers ridiculing her father's attempts to turn a peasant girl into a noble through money. She is very, very upset. She flees in the capital in despair because he brings her from the countryside to the capital to grow her as a princess. So she has to be in the capital. And then despair and runs back into the mountains, seeking Sutemaru and friends, but discovers they all moved away. She passes out in the snow and awakens back in the party. So even she wants to run, she's by some unforeseen force brought back into the party. Once a resident of Moon, she broke its laws, hoping to be exiled to Earth so that she could experience mortal life. That's why she broke its laws. When the emperor made his advance, when she came and the father moved their home into the capital, the emperor heard about her beauty. He came into a party. Then when the emperor made his advances, she silently begged the moon to help her. As a result of a brief altercation with the emperor, Kaguya now recalls her true identity and reveals to her parents she originally came from Moon. Having heard her prayer, the moon restored her, the Moon King restored her memories and said she'll be reclaimed during the next full moon. Miyatsuko swears to protect her and begins turning the mansion into a fortress. The emperor heard that she would be taken back to her homeland Moon, and when the time came, he sent 2,000 men armed with bows and arrows to defend her. Father makes a big fort. The emperor sends warriors, 2,000 people with bows and arrows to fight so that she can be stopped from being taken. That night, a dazzling light suddenly appeared in the sky. Men dressed in stunning garments rode down through the clouds. As if under a spell, the emperor's soldiers could barely resist, and few arrows were sent upwards, but they all bounced back harmlessly. The supernatural beings that have come from Moon. Where is she? Called their leader, the King of Moon. At once, all the doors of Old Man's residence, because he converted that into a fort with all big doors, everything, they all opened wide. She came out. The palanquin landed beside her. The king made her drink, the Moon King made her to drink elixir to recover her strength after a time on earth. She wrote a message to the emperor, bestowing the reminder of an elixir on him. She sends a letter and a bottle of elixir to him. She is granted one last moment with her parents before the attendant drapes a robe around her, appearing to erase all her memory. Then she puts the feather robe given by the Moon King, forgetting all her cares and attachment to this world. She was carried away to Moon. Before she goes, she leaves that letter and a bottle of elixir for the king, not the Moon King, but the king on earth. Then she was carried away to the moon. There's an interesting tail piece to this story. The story doesn't end there. After the palanquin carrying Kaguya had risen into the sky, all the moon people have vanished. One of the emperor's soldiers carried her last letter to him. She explained that her gift was the elixir of immortality, but the emperor had no desire to live forever without her. He ordered that both the letter and the jar be carried to the top of the mountain and burned. Since then, the mountain had been known as Fuji, the Immortal. That's the tailpiece of this Kaguya Hime story. Then we have three other stories, not very big stories, but interesting stories. Gobutori Sun, lump taken out old man is the story. This has got September 9th, 1974. Got three stamps again. I'll show you next. Okay. Entrance to the gated shrine, dancing, and two lumps, or what we call as two veins. That's there, we'll see. These are two people. If you see the first picture, there are two friends. One has got a vein or a lump on the left-hand side of his face. Another one has got on the right-hand side of the face. Okay. Give me a minute. These stamps were released on the 9th of September 1974. Now, again, the same size, same no watermarks, and the same 20 yen stamp. That is the thing, 1974, September 9. Gobutori Sun is translated directly as a lump taken out old man. It's a Japanese folk tale about an old man who had his lump, a gland or tumor, taken or removed by demons after joining a party of demons, only again, celebrating and dancing in the night. If you look at this, the old man with the lump is sitting in a big hole in the tree. The demons are all coming, singing, and this thing. See, he sees the Oni coming, but he is hiding himself in the big hole in the tree. Okay, now let's see this. Once upon a time, two old men, each with a large lump on his cheek. That is in the first stamp, you can see both the old men, one with a lump on the right cheek, one on the left cheek, lived next door to each other. One day, one of the old men went to the mountains to cut firewood. As the night drew, he began to hear lively singing and sound of drums from somewhere. Curious, the old man started walking towards the sound. As he saw in the shadow, he saw Ogre having a party. This is only the demons or augur. They call it augur. They were all dancing and singing. He was very afraid of these out of the world creatures. So he went and hid himself in a tree, this thing. And he stayed hidden in the shadows of the tree hollow because he was afraid of ogres. But because ogres seemed to be having so much fun singing and playing the drum, he soon began to feel merry. He himself also started enjoying, the music, the dancing. Eventually, he even began dancing. The ogres were surprised that the old man came to join their circle of dancing, and they clapped and cheered him on because the old man danced well. When the dawn began to break, the ogre said to the old man, "Oh, you dance so well. Why don't you come and dance with us again tonight?" Then, strangely enough, they plucked off the lump from the old man's cheek without leaving any scar whatsoever and walked away, saying, "We'll return this to you when you come again tonight." So he went home, and the old man returned home without his bothersome lump. The old man next door noticed the lump was gone. Asked him, how did he get rid of it? Hearing about that old man's previous night adventure, the old man next door claimed, "It's not fair that you only got rid of your lump. I will go today to the August party and I'll dance in your place. So they'll remove my lump also." So he went to the party that night. And the old man next door arrived at the party. The August mistook him for the old man because everybody is joining and dancing, singing. So all the old men looked the same to them. Okay. The August mistook him for the old man who joined them the previous night and welcomed him, saying, "Oh, we are waiting for you. Come on, dance with us." However, the old man next door was so frightened of the August that he began shaking and shivering in fear. He shook so badly they could hardly remain standing, much less to dance. Your dancing today is terrible. Come on, here, take your lump and go home, the ogre yelled, and attached the lump on the old man's cheek, the side in which he did not have a lump in the first place. The old man next door, the poor thing, thus ended up with 2 lumps for being greedy, and he came home. Now you can see that is why it's called as Gobutori Sun. The lump was removed, and the Uji-san is dancing there very happily. Now, if you look at the 3 Sams, okay, first 2 friends with the lump, another one is dancing with the thing, and if you see, look at the cap, so you can see the guy with the red cap now got 2 lumps attached to him in the third stamp. Now, the next story is a very, very famous story, Rajya Mataro, a story of a fisher boy. And then the stamps. Again, we started in 1973. This stamp was issued in January 28, 1975. 3 20 yens, and then one is Tortoise, second one is Dragon's Palace, and then third is a Pandora's box. Now you can see the 3 stamps, very beautifully drawn. I was quite impressed when I tried to enlarge it and see very beautiful details, everything. The Japanese are very good artists, I would say. This was done on 28 January 1975. Okay, and again, same size, everything same, and normal paper, and 20 yens a stamp. Rajya Mataro is one of the most popular Japanese folk tales you would have ever read. The story is about a young fisherman who once disappeared to see a beautiful palace under the sea, but did not know how much time he spent there. The Japanese folk legend is very famous. There is a statue of Rajya Mataro located in Mitoyo, Kagawa. And also you can see a statue of the is also there, and that is the Rajya Mataro's statue that is there. Once upon a time, there was a young fisherman named Urashima Taro who lived with his old mother. He's known for his modesty to the villagers. One day, in the early morning, when he went down to seashore, while walking along the beach, he suddenly found some children were tormenting a turtle with heavy sticks. Seeing that, he said, "Hey, get away from it. Stop hurting the turtle." Immediately, children ran away and from the spot. And then Taro released the turtle back into the sea. He was a fisherman. Again, next day, went there. Next day, when Taro was fishing, the turtle appeared near him from the sea. "I am the turtle you saved yesterday. I owe you my life, and I want to thank you for saving my life. I am inviting you to come with me to see the Dragon Palace, which is deep down in the waters." Taro indeed was astonished to know that there is a palace called a Dragon Palace deep in the sea. He felt he had an old mother alone at home. He said, "I don't want to leave my mother, so I've decided to stay for a long time. So I cannot stay for a long time, so I will be back with my mother." But the turtle answered, "You won't be there for long. You will return it very soon, so don't worry about it. You are not leaving your mother for long. Please come." Taro was happy to know that and accepted the invitation. Okay, then he decided to go along with the turtle. Okay, climbing on the back of turtle, the turtle dived deep into the sea to reach the desired destination. After journeying for a while, they were about to reach the palace, and Taro saw the Dragon Palace. You can see the Dragon Palace in the stamp. A lot of fishes going around. Okay, Taro saw the Dragon Palace. It was glittering with gold and silver. When he just arrived, palace attendants all welcomed him. In fact, these attendants were all fishers. And beautiful princess named Otohime arrived and said, "Yesterday you saved a turtle's life, and that is me. Please enjoy your time here and stay here as long as you wish." Okay, so Taro was there talking to the turtle princess and all the turtle. Then she took him inside the main palace, where Taro had so many things to eat, drink, and enjoy. The life of Taro inside the palace was very joyful. He forgot the life he had before arriving here. Few days later, he suddenly remembered his old mother and the village. So he decided to return home from the palace. The princess gave him a box, a jeweled hand box called Tamete Bako, as a souvenir, saying this precious box will help you from any harm. And if you have any trouble any time, kindly open it and that will help you. So he received that. And then all things were strange to him when he arrived at the village. Villagers were staring at him because nobody could recognize him, nor he could recognize any of them. He was puzzled to see so many things had changed. He headed towards his home to find his mother. When he arrived there, he saw his mother was nowhere there. The house owner came asking, "Who are you?" He said, "I am Taro. I am here to find my mother. And this is our house." Listening to this, the house owner said, "I used to hear there was a fisherman who used to live here with his mother hundreds of years ago, hundreds of years ago. It's impossible that you're Urashima Taro." And the house owner left. Actually, though Urashima Taro was in the Dragon Palace for a few days, according to him, he has spent 300 years because the time difference is different. To 300 years he came there. Urashima Taro did not know what to do. He felt alone and sad. He made his way back to the beach and carrying the box. He thought, "I lost everything I had before. No, I have nowhere to go. My mother has passed away." So he remembered the words that the princess said to him. When he decided to open the box to relieve him from this trouble, he was surprised to see it was empty, and a white smoke came out of it, and suddenly became old man with long white beard, and his face wrinkled. Then he threw up his arm and fell down dead on the beach. That is the story of Urashima Taro, who got misled, went into the Dragon Palace, and then he forgot the time and he got stuck there. Now the next story is Nizumino Jodo. Unfortunately, this is a story on which I couldn't get much of information like the other stories. Now, you see, this also has got 3 stamps, okay? And 3 stamps with the same 1975, 15th April 1975 was the time. It's a multicolor stamp, the M20N stamp. The details are here. Now, we have got 3 stamps, and if you see on the stamp, something written in Japanese called Mihon. Mihon is a stamp which is first released. Some of the stamps also have the same Mihon. Mihon is a sample before they make. So, as a philatelist or a stamp collector, when you buy a Mihon stamp, this is slightly more expensive to buy than a normal stamp. But if you buy in the post office, you don't get Mihon stamps, you get only stamps without the Mihon. Once upon a time, there lived a man. He went to a mountain to gather firewood, stopping to rest. Okay, one man eating rice cake. When there appeared to be a mouse, he gave rice cake to the mouse. Now let's see what has happened. It's an act of kindness. What happened to him? Because he saw a small mouse, he went there to get firewood, and he gave rice cake to the mouse. What has happened to him? And what has happened to the mouse? Let's say this. Okay, he went there, he saw a mouse, he gave some rice cake. So very much delighted, the mouse invited the old man to his house, what you call as paradise. Yeah, mouse lives in paradise. It's a folk tale. Folk tales always got their some amount of fantasy. Fantasy is one of the basic part of a folk tale, and imagination, creativity, they're all part of that. So the mouse took him to their house, paradise, and offered him a feast. On leaving the house, you can see all the next stamp, you can see first stamp, you can see the mouse is leading him to their palace down below the earth. And then there in the third stamp, you can see the mouses are all dancing with him and entertaining him, giving him a feast, everything. And then the story sounded, and then give him a lot of treasures. The Moses being in a palace, a lot of treasures. Again, we always have in such stories a greedy old man who lives next door. So there's always one good man and one bad man, one normal person, one greedy person. Okay? The story sounded very similar, and there was a old man living next door to this man. This greedy old man also wanted to get similar treasures. So, as been the case at his neighbor, old man taken the mouse, taken to the mouse's house and offered a feast. He also carried a rice cake, offered to the mouse, all that. And then he replicated what has happened. So he went there, had a feast. But this greedy old man wanted entire treasure, did something that mice didn't like. See, the mouses gave him a treasure, but he wanted to scare and make all the mouses to run away so that he can grab all the treasure and come. So he, like a cat, no, he started mewing. Like a cat, he said, scared the mouses ran away. All of a sudden, all the treasure he has received, including the ones he has received and the ones that is there in the mouse house, everything disappeared. The old man found himself alone in a crater because the Moses took him down through the crater to their house. He was alone. He wanted to scare the mouse and take the entire treasure. So he mewed, and in that process, he lost whatever he got and also whatever he wanted to get. So, in all the 7, this thing, if you see, greed is one of the reasons for everybody's falling down from the story 1 to story 7. Everywhere there is some, and one is greed. Second, they did something that they were asked not to do. Once they try to do what they were asked not to do, that's what. And third is, if you look at the moon thing, in order to make her live like a prince and he wanted to have a great life for her, he went out of his way to create the wealth and make her a prince, all that. So all his very ambitious approach gave him all the trouble. So this is the folk tales of today. Thank you all very much. We are finishing a little early today, but I hope you enjoyed all the 7 folk tales of Japan through stamps. Thank you all very much.
Nice, Ma. Very good.
Yeah, thank you. I can see my friend Tim also there. Okay.
Yes, yeah, very nice program. I was struck by one of the things in your story. Now this was where I think the moon princess wanted to come down and experience the life of mortals.
Yes.
Yeah, there's